So let's talk about digital distraction because it's a thing. I know we're using a digital media here. We really want to just focus on how we can really focus and zone in on the people that we're developing as, and just get away from all the digital distractions. So Jeremy and I were talking a little bit earlier just about basically that. So Jeremy, I just want to turn over to you and just like, what
Mhm.
is digital distraction? How have you seen it show up in your life?
Yeah, man. I mean, digital distraction is pretty much just the new day and age of regular keeping up with the Joneses in a sense. And it's kind of routine for everybody to do that now. Yeah, it's so easy. We've never been so connected as a world, whether that's within your own geographical region or within your own country or just across countries, across seas. We've never been disconnected before. And it's so easy to get distracted by that connection. Um, I feel like me personally, I mean, recently, we talked about this before we started recording this episode, is that, I recently found myself like, I guess a bit comparing, my level of success or the point that I am in my life to, the others that I see on TV or social media
Mhm.
or whatever, and that can become a very negative cycle to say the least. Because on social media, everybody's going to show the glory and the glam
Yeah,
stuff.
their
Not
highlights. Yeah.
right, the highlight. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a highlight of this. It's a highlight reel. It's
Yeah.
the highest points of the entire journey or the entire portion of life
Hmm.
whatnot, and we look and we see so many of those highlights that we think that like every part of life should be a highlight. Like, why am I not in a highlight right now? I'm in like a drop down moment. Theoretically, not saying that's what I'm in now, but like I'm not feeling very highlighty, if that's an actual word.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like a highlight, I feel
Yeah.
like, a blooper more
Yeah.
so kind
Yeah.
of thing. So that can really distract you, man. That can really distract you from what you really set out to do.
Hmm.
Um, and I felt like I've had a moment where I just needed to readjust myself. And we talked about it in the last video about like, you have a game plan set, but you have to play the game in order to win it. So
Right.
like I felt like I was in a stage where I was playing the game and I got in too deep or I just kind of got distracted within the game and I needed a quick reminder of what my overall purpose was or what my game plan was to strategize. It takes some time to recollect myself, to gather myself, refill my energy gauge or my HP as gamers like to call it or whatever. I need a few seconds to kind of recompose myself to get back out there and be, and be high level in my efficiency.
Mhm.
Because the only thing I need to compare myself with is myself. Like I
Yeah.
just need to compare myself with a past version of myself. And as long as I'm better than I was there, then that's what true growth is. It's not comparing myself to another person because we're not the same.
Right.
There's nothing equivalent about us. Their journey is different. My journey is different. The things that I have to show up for is different from the things that they have to show up for. My expectations within myself are different from their expectations within themselves or their expectation of me. So just keeping it cordial and keep an understanding that only thing that should show your level of success is how better off you are than you were before, kind
Right.
of thing. So
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people get kind of thrown off by that because we look at success like to your point, like keeping up with the Joneses, like, oh, they just got a brand new car, a brand new house,
mhm.
they make this much money, all the highlight reels, that we do see on social media or on TV, or any type of medium, right? And it's just really looking at, is this truly successful? Because they could have this
Right.
big house, big car, all this money, but their marriage sucks or
Yeah.
miserable. It's just like they work
That
so
was a
hard to get this, but in an attempt to work hard to, make all this money and do all these things to be all flashy, it's like they lost all their friends or they lost their family because their family got used to them not being around because they work so much. So, wife and kids left them or husband and kids left her or whatever, because they're like, we got used to you not being here. We don't see you. We never spend time with you. So that's like wealth to them or that's like richness to them. But in that person's eyes who's going for that success, it's just like they kind of lose sight of that, and yeah, just to your point with the social media and just the digital distraction. I've heard that said so many times before that that's the age that we're living in is the age of digital distraction. But like a couple of years back, like before COVID like really kicked off, I was working with Cobb County schools, so I would go to like several different schools, train the students. Like I was doing like workouts with them, some yoga, some breathing exercises to help them like reduce their stress levels. Because it's like for them, like third through fifth graders, when they get upset, they want to punch somebody, they want to push somebody, they want to get physical, not so positive way. But it's just like one of the kids in one of the classes one time we were going over like push-ups and squats, and we were doing push-ups specifically. I was like, all right, y'all, we're gonna just do a quick warm-up because we're gonna head outside. And I was teaching them the importance of warming up dynamically, not just like holding the stretch like how we did in school, like one, two, three, one, one. And we just hold it. And I was like, you gotta move a little bit, before you get to the thing where you're going on monkey bars, like make sure your shoulders are good, like roll it forward, roll it back. And then I was like, all right, we're gonna do some push-ups. So we did some push-ups. I was like, all right, I want you to do some modified push-ups. So I want you to start from your knees, make sure your body's straight. And he was like, you mean girl push-ups? And I was like, no, I mean modified push-ups. I know what I said. And he was like, man, that's girl push-ups. He's like, I hate these girl push-up, like laughing with his other classmates or whatever. I'm like, no, it's modified push-ups. I'm a certified coach, dude. I know what I'm talking about. And he was like, no, it's girl push-ups. Like he walked over to the computer, typed up Google, was like, well, according to Dr. Google, and he's doing his little research thing. And I'm like, dude, like I'm a person in front of you right now telling you what this thing is, but it's like his focus was like the computer is always right,
Yeah.
whatever the social media, I mean, in this case it was Google, but he was like, whatever Dr. Google says, that's what we got to do. He's like, look, see, I told you it was that. And I was like, all right, cool. Show me a girl run. And he was like, wait. And I was like, show me a girl jumping jack. He was like, I don't understand. He was just like, his brain was like fried. But I was just like, I just say all that to say that, it's like we have to really discern like where we're getting our information from, especially when it comes to the quality of our own lives or the picture that we frame our own lives when it comes to success or when it comes to happiness or when it comes to, fulfillment, like all those type of things. It's not just one pigeonhole thing like what you were saying, like you could define it differently for yourself or you can see
Mhm.
yourself in this one light, but because there's so much noise around what success looks like or what you're supposed to do. If you live in this area, you're supposed to buy this thing, you're supposed to go to this restaurant, you're supposed to eat this stuff, you're supposed all these things. It's like, are we really being our true selves or are we just
Yeah.
falling in line? Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's been like, that true self, man. I think that's a true self is like an onion that has an infinite number of layers. And no
Mm,
matter how many times you feel like you peel it, you think you've reached the last layer, another one just kind of goes there. And it's strange, man. It's kind of to think about it. Like I feel like, at the age that we are, I feel like, man, I've reached every point of myself that I can reach.
mm,
The highs, the lows, everything in between. And how is there more to me that I become
mm,
unaware of from that? And to the point and theme of this particular episode, it's the digital distraction
mm,
to it. Like that digital distraction is like a constant influence on the things that I think of, the things that I partake in, the things that I recommend to you or to my friends, kind of thing. It's very much stemmed off of what I see on my phone, on
mm.
my computer. Like
Yeah.
it's not that organicness, that true. I guess at the end of the day, like starting with me disappeared. Like it starts with the thing now. Like it starts with the restaurant. It
Mm,
starts with the clothing item. It
mm,
didn't start with me
mm,
first or whatever. I felt like that's what can happen
mm.
if we get too normalized into it. And I think that's why it's important to kind of recalibrate yourself when you feel like you needed to. Like nobody can I mean, somebody can tell you need to, but
Yeah.
nobody can force you to do it until you
Right.
decide to do it on your own. Like you have to execute it on yourself. And it's tough just coming to terms with it. Like, cause in a sense, it's like it's something that you were wrong about something. At least it's how I feel like,
Yeah.
man, I was wrong about that. I can't believe I did that. It like self-pity or something. Like, man, how can I let it get to this point without realizing it? I knew it was going on, but I didn't stop it or I didn't make the change earlier. If I would have made the change earlier, then X, Y, and Z, but I think dwelling on it is only going to continue to hurt it. I think just accepting it and then making the change as quick as you can is going to be the most beneficial because you can get into that stage of, paralysis. I know we talked about sleep paralysis earlier too, where you can go in that
Right.
stage of paralysis
Yeah.
that like I can't move. I've been here so long, I'm more comfortable
Hmm.
like this. I know this ain't how I imagine it to be. I'm just gonna suck it up and stick with it versus, doing the backtracking that you need to put in the proper procedures to get to the place that you know you can get to and beyond that.
Right. And it's interesting too, just like the whole paralysis thing and like you're aware, but it's like you said, a really important word is like decide. Like we have to just make that conscious decision, because like both of us, we talked about it. Like you took a hiatus, from social media. It's like I took a hiatus from social media for like over a year. And I feel like it really was inspired after I watched this video. I think I was watching a Tech Talk video, and this guy was talking about how he just walked away from social media and was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still alive, it's
Yeah.
okay, because it can be just like, public speaking for some people. Like, all right, get on stage and talk to people. It's like, wait, what? I got to do what? It's like, yeah, talk to people, right? The same thing with like social media. It's like, all right, don't use your phone. Leave your phone at home, right? For 8 hours while you go, like, what? I could never, right? But it's just like so many other important things that we can include into our lives, but we don't because it's like we don't
Yeah.
think it's like that important. Like, I don't know, drinking water. It's like our body is 70% water. Our brain is like 80% water. It's like just drink a cup of water, like when you first wake up. It's like people are like
Right.
talking about, but leave your phone. What? Don't charge your phone at night. What? It's like we normalize distraction, and
Yeah.
it's like we're rewarded for it too, which is like that's built into the system. That's how it operates. It's like you're gonna get those pings, you're gonna get those notifications, you're gonna get those hearts, you're gonna get those likes, you're gonna get those thumb, all the share, all the things, and I get it from like a business side because like we use it, like looking at the analytics and the data, but it's just like who are we helping? Who are we serving? Is this reaching the people that we need it to reach? So it's a different approach. I think if you do have a business or you're a small business owner or a big business owner even, but just speaking specifically for like small business owner, just like the power of social media and how we can use that to help and serve the world. But it's just like if you're on the flip side of that and you're just like consuming all the time, then it's like, yeah, you're not like to your point, you're not going to start with yourself. You're not going to start with your mind, your own inner thoughts on how can I develop myself by using this as a tool and me not be the tool that's being used by this thing. It's like they call us users for a reason, right? It's
Right.
like being
Yeah.
used by someone. It's like it can be to your. I'm not saying it's all like bad and nefarious or whatever, but it's just like if you're not conscious, if you're just in that paralysis state, you didn't make any decisions, you're waiting for a decision to be made for you by social media. It's like, well, they didn't recommend me anything, so I don't know what to eat. They didn't tell me where to go to watch the new movie, so I don't know what to watch. It was like, what do you like to do? Like, go outside. What are we talking about? Go outside, look at the clouds. Like, let that be your movie.
Right.
Get into this creative thought process because we're just built to be creative. And going back to that whole tree example, is like this small seed is like that's getting this light and these nutrients. It's like sometimes social media can be like a false light. It can be like again to that distraction point. It's just like, ooh, look, shiny thing over here. But it's just like this inner voice or this small little inner knowing. And you're like, actually go read this book or talk with that person like face to face, ask them about their day. And I feel like some of those conversations can be like off where people are just ready to go to the next thing to where, I can slow down a lot and to be really patient. But I noticed that too with people is that they're just like, they're not really present. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I usually ask, how are you feeling? Because I usually ask like, how you doing? And people just give me the general like, I'm good. But when I say how you feeling, it's like a little level deeper. It's like I'll think about that a little bit. And just to have a dialogue and conversation, but they can still sweep by it, and still go to the next thing, the next thing. But it's just like, can we be here for a second? Like, can we be
Mhm.
in this present moment for a second? And I feel like that's where the distraction can happen. And what I've just noticed, with social media or even not just social, but it can be like on TV too. It's like there can be some news going on and people are hyper focused on this bad news. And it's like they start to see bad things all over the place, just like how social media works. It's like it gives you recommendations based on the things that you already interact with the most. So it's like you have this one filter of the world based on your likes, your interests, your surroundings. And then this other person, they have another filter of the world based on their likes, their interests, their surroundings, their recommendations. Crazy story. I was talking with the male guy because he's like super cool. He's like Jamaican guy. He's
Uh-huh.
like the best at his job. He's like, he put customer service like up there, USPS, delivery, and he'll like watch people's houses. He'll ask about their kids. Like he asked me about my son the other day, and I was like, "Oh, you remember? Cool." He's like, "Yeah, how's your little one? Is he growing up?" And he was born on New Year's, right? And I was like, "Yes, good memory, guy." But anyway, I was talking to him for about like 10, 15 minutes or so, like while he was just putting the mail in the box, whatever.
Yeah.
Walk home, I open up my Facebook app because I was getting ready to post something. I see a USPS ad. I'm like, I never ever see USPS ads ever. But I was like, I spent enough time in this environment, and then it was like, well,
Mhm.
let's give them something to look at. So anyway, I just think that's crazy, but it's just the world we live in.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and you thinking, and it's crazy that you brought up a guy that was from Jamaica because I'm thinking about like the analogy is kind of like when you travel internationally for the first time, and it's just so different. Like a couple of summers ago, I traveled to St. Lucia, it's a
Hmm.
Caribbean island, and just the culture is so enriched with people that look like us, and you can feel that community, that family presence, and that like I was talking to one of my friends about it as well. It's like, man, on the outside, they look like they don't have anything, but they really have it all. Like
Yeah.
they look like they don't have no big houses, they don't have no fancy cars, they don't even have like updated music. Like we was our driver, he was playing songs off a CD player, like literally a CD disc and a CD changer in the
Yeah.
car. Like I can't remember the last time I saw something like that. Like, but man, just the organic feeling, like they had it all. Like they were really rich, like
Yeah.
rich and
Yeah.
something that's not where we live at
Yeah.
necessarily. Like a person search all their lives to feel something like that,
Hmm.
And if you never kind of spread your wings out, like you'll never know that you're caught up in whatever you want to call it. Some people call it the matrix, some people call it society or
Hmm.
whatever, but like you would never know that you're just like you said, a user
Yeah.
being used for somebody else's gain to a certain extent. That's not like you're being used by a mad genius necessarily, or
Hmm.
maybe you are. I mean, who knows? Ooh, cue suspense music, but who knows? And then there was another point you made about like the presence, like the present being present, and just without that digital distraction, like it was the small things as far as like even have a conversation with my wife over the phone. Because usually when we're on the phone, like I'm just mindlessly scrolling while
Hmm.
we're talking. But without it, I'm just in tune with her, and like I can hear the gestures through her voice a lot better, and I can position myself to respond in a more appealing way
Yeah.
or whatnot. Like she can feel that I'm in tune
Hmm.
with her more so, and that I'm not distracted, that I'm actively listening, and that I'm engaging in the conversation holistically, and I remember the conversation later, kind of thing. So like just
Yeah. I was
those
like,
main points.
you
That's
already caught up?
always right.
Like, were you listening to me? Yeah. What was the last thing I said? Were you listening to me?
Literally.
Right. Been there, man. It's like it's not a place you want to be. Real talk. But yeah, so I really want to share this too. Just like we talked about the biggest problem, like being distracted, is the feelings that can come from being digitally distracted. But it's like I want to look towards like the solution. So like, what's something that you've done to help you to like break out of that matrix, or get rid of that analysis paralysis, or even just like a sense of paralysis, even.
I mean, man, the biggest thing for me is just like, and I practiced this even prior to like my recent digital distraction, whatever, getting rid of that.
Yeah.
That's just like reading actual paper, like
Hmm.
reading an actual book, reading
Yeah.
an actual newspaper, reading an actual printed article like that. different form of medium. Like it helps regulate different. Like my eyes feel different when I do it. Like my mind feel different when I do it. Like it's exercising a different part of the brain to me. And it's
Yeah.
like it's almost like, and this is trying to think about it, this is definitely true. Like on the digital aspect of it, the screen or whatever, you're like stimulating parts of your body, mind, eyes that don't necessarily need to be stimulated in order to perceive the information. Versus on like the paper is just white,
Hmm.
blacking for the most part,
Hmm.
very subtle. Don't have to string. I literally can just read the words and process the information. Like other parts of my brain are not distracted by
Hmm.
flashing lights, flashing pictures,
Yeah.
sound, even
Hmm.
that's coming forward. I don't have to. The cognitive load is a lot less,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So like that's really helped. Like one of the most peaceful things to me is like reading, getting my car maintenance and reading the newspaper at like the
Hmm.
maintenance shop. Like it's so peaceful for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But then I mean I only do that like once every 2 months anyway. But
Hmm.
when I'm home, I've just kind of been picking up books off the bookshelf and just reading like
Hmm.
just a couple of pages. Like I don't even want to like add the burden of, oh my gosh, I have to read every single word
Right.
and every single page of this book. Like no, I read what I want to. If it's 2 pages, if it's 20 pages, if it's 100 pages, if I put it down and don't pick it back up, that's fine. Like just whatever, just kind of can gain my attention at the time. That's fine. That's another medium that I'm using that's not necessarily digital, and I can
Right.
focus in a bit better on
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But what you said, just like focusing in on it, that's my thing too. It's just like reading and writing too.
it.
I know
Mm-hmm.
recently me and Cash, we've been like doing like a book study together, like a book club basically. 'Cause we had a book club and then we had like two books that we read with like some other people. And then like we stopped that because everybody had to focus on some other projects. But Cash was like, yeah, let's kind of keep this going for like, husband and wife. Like, let's just like learn together, grow together, be more present with each other, which is like, yeah, that's super helpful. So we was doing this was via audiobook, but his name is right there. Masaru Emoto. Dr. Emoto, just with his water studies, like the hidden messages of water. So it's like we did that one and now we're doing another one, but this one we're doing like an exercise where we read some things and then have you like meditate on it for like 15 minutes and then just like write some notes down. So it's like whatever comes to mind based on what you were thinking about. So again, really being more introspective and just looking within, to say, what does this mean to me? How does this show up in my life? How do I want it to show up in my life? Kind of like that whole visualization exercise that we learned about, years ago when we watched The Secret, but it's really like seeing the world that you want to unfold, in terms of like your relationships, your health, your finances, your, ability to develop new skills and learn new things, right? It's like we have this power to do it. It's just seeing within our own mind that it can be done, but taking that time to just be still. And, it's hard to do that with, again, videos blasting in your face and noise and dings and all these things. Didn't mean to rhyme there, but that was pretty cool that it happened. And all these things that just happen with social media and being bogged down on our phones and just the screen time, it's just like, I know even for like my son, it's just like we monitor that even at his age because it's like, all right, you're in the age now, son, where it's like people are gonna stick a phone in your face, especially
it.
like my nieces and nephew. They want him to like see stuff. They want him to enjoy what they're seeing, and I get that. But it's like you don't have to like look at this, and stick it in his face. He's one. Like let him learn.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the real world. This is not right. This is just a picture of it on a phone. But
Right.
these things over here are real. I want you to get more into the real stuff. Yeah, there'll be time because of course we have him like on Miss Rachel or he watches Gracie's Corner every once in a while. But still, even that distance with the screen, it's like we monitor.
Right.
Because I just think back like when I was a kid and my brother, he used to be like so close to the TV screen. And my mom was like, get away from the TV and he'll get back. But then sooner or later, he'll find himself like right
Scoot
back.
back up. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like just slowly over time. It's like I did it too. It's like we'll just get closer and closer. But even with that, it's just that's just a good point as far as like reading actual books, and reading newspapers, reading magazines, because even if there could be like other things going on, it's like you can control a little bit more what your eyes are focusing on. And to your point, like the black and white, it's like you got all this white, so it's like it's focusing on this black text that's right there, line by line, paragraph by paragraph. You can add little fun tools like, your highlighter, your pen, pencil, whatever, doodle even in there, like have some other notes to really dissect and consume the information in a way that you actually need it. Kind of think back to that Naruto episode where what's her name? Lady Tsunade, she was about to become Hokage. And it's like she was looking at that whole anatomy book and then she saw Rock Lee, his face, his body in the thing. And she took it seriously at that point because she's like, there's this ninja. He's like well loved, well known. He got hurt by this other ninja from this other village. I have this, medical special ninjutsu ability about me. Let me look at this image in this anatomy book as if this is Rock Lee, not just a random picture image, but let me focus on this person. And I feel like we can do that same thing when we're reading books. We have this person in mind, we have this situation in mind, but with social media, it can be everybody wants our attention. So that's just the only thing with that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, and yeah, I feel like it just to the core, man. It all just boils down to kind of what made you happy at an early state of consciousness or whatever. Like I can remember thinking about all that when I can remember like picking up my first book and like being excited that I read it and it was a physical book and I could smell it and I can feel what it felt like my hands scraping across it as I went through the pages or whatnot. Like I can remember writing essays as deep, just like really deep, ironing out my thoughts and my ideas onto actual paper with pencil. I wrote in cursive like all my years
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
So like just even to that degree, like it just I don't know, it just turned some knobs that haven't really been turned in a long time.
But I remember, like, it's funny you said cursive, like, because I remember I stopped writing in cursive because nobody could read my writing. Because
Me too,
I used to
literally.
like tilt the paper a little bit and just like write.
Yes, right. Just like
Yeah, that's just how I
yeah.
wrote. But people's like, "What is that? An L? Is that a T?" I'm like, "It's clearly a T. You see that line?"
Like I stopped. I wrote in cursive from like I think I learned it in the third grade. This
Yeah,
is super tangent.
yeah,
Right
no,
in
no,
third grade, I wrote every year. I wrote it up until my junior year. I stopped my junior year because we had to take the writing test and you had to write in print.
yeah,
So I had to practice that year writing in print because I just automatically wrote in cursive. Then after I took the writing test, I started back writing cursive. Then in college, my freshman year, I was taking like chemistry 101. And I wrote in cursive because that's just the fast, like, the first
yeah,
year professors, they just go so fast. Like I just had to write as fast as I could. And I wrote in cursive because that's the quickest and smoothest way I could write. But going back, it was hard to understand it. Hard
yeah,
to understand science in that, like in cursive, because it's a lot of long words that are repetitive syllables and it's random numbers here and there. Like it was hard to understand it, so I had to stop writing in cursive like after my freshman year of college. Then eventually the iPad came out and was affordable and we got iPads.
yeah.
It was downhill from there with the
Yes.
digital
Print and you type it, so you're not even connected.
printing and typing, playing
Right,
Temple Run in your
right,
free
exactly.
time. Like terrible. That's where
Right,
it all went wrong.
right. And it's so funny because I was so proud when I got my iPad in
I
college.
remember
Like,
that.
yeah, I was like, yeah. I got it from the bookstore. I was so happy. I was like, I'm going to use it to take notes and all this stuff. Again, I was playing Temple Run. I was like,
Temple Run
it's a
all day.
it's a big Game Boy. That's
Temple
all
Run,
it is.
Flappy Bird, just every game that was like a meme on it.
Exactly. Or what is that? That Magic Piano. Like I was
Yeah,
playing.
Magic Piano Tile, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I did use GarageBand on there, and that was pretty dope for
yeah,
us.
yeah, it
It's
was.
like I got to learn how to edit things like that. But yeah, I could have been better at that. But like you said, it's just getting back to that childhood wonder and that childhood, sense of fulfillment and happiness. And it just, because I feel like that's one of the biggest tools to dodge that digital distraction is just like, what will my younger self do in this situation? Of course, like our kids now can be exposed to that easily, and it's on our hands to do that. But it's like when we were kids, it's like cloud watching, writing, reading, going outside. Being bored was like you weren't really bored all the time. Like I
Yeah.
remember if we were bored, we found something to do. Like we got creative. We built blocks. We built a stack of cards. Like how tall can we get this thing? Like we just really used our creative function and imagination to get there. But I remember I asked this question, and we can like wrap this up here. But I remember I asked this question to some younger guys. They were probably like 21 to 23, and I was like, okay, what would you do if hypothetically the internet just like went out all over the world? And it was like, I would die. I don't know what I would. And I was like, really? The first thing you would do is die. First thing you would do. But they were really serious and really passionate about this. Like, I don't know what I would do. I don't know and I was like, there's other things to do. The internet didn't exist forever, guys. Like, anyway. Um, we got a lot of value out of this conversation. If you are watching this, please leave a comment, share this video with somebody that you care about, that you feel like you're a little distracted and you need to like calm it down, get more present, find other things to do, like read or meditate or hang out with your family, really be present, really be purposeful with what you're doing. So I hope this conversation again gave you a lot of insight and value to do that. Jeremy, you have anything to close out for the people on YouTube?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's not mistake digital distraction for entertainment. We should all have some sense of entertainment because that's what makes life to a certain extent. Like being able to enjoy it, being able to have fun, etc. And I don't take this as if you need to get off social media. You don't need to be on there, etc. If that's what makes you happy, do that. Like do the things that make you happy, do the things that fulfill you. But too much of anything is bad for everybody. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Too much water is bad. Too much air can be bad. So too much chocolate can be bad. So just kind of understand the moderations or the serving size, to say the least, of it. And that serving size and moderation can vary based off the person. I may only need a quick 15-minute look into social media. Martavius may only need 5 minutes every week to do it. And another person I need an hour every night to kind of get my laughs in, etc. See what's going on. Then I can go to bed peacefully, knowing that I can have a good day the next day. So, just compare it to yourself and compare it to anybody else as we started this message with, and take breaks when needed.
Awesome. So use social media for good. Don't let it use you for anything else other than good. All right, everybody. Till next time. Peace
Peace.
out.